Clap 3 times on the ceiling if you want me. So, here we are. This is the day, 2023 Z06. I'm Christopher. The guy behind the camera as always is Jake. And we're Fastlane Classic Cars. Please like and subscribe. It really does help us. It helps everything. It just makes things better.
It also helps you.
It does help me.
You get notified, the viewer.
Oh, yes.
You get notified when we make cool videos like this, so you get to see them.
You get to
if
see
you
them all
don't
the
subscribe
time.
and hit the bell, how are you going to know?
How are you going to know? You're just going to keep searching the internet? That just seems like a lot. Anywho, this isn't going to be a classic eventually. Right now, it's brand new. It's a 2023 Z06, 5.5 liter
Flat plane
crank V8 with its red line is at 8,600 RPMs.
Yes.
This is quite an amazing car. Let's see. I even wrote down some stats too. Jake, how about that?
Oh, you did?
Oh, I did. 3,109 regular Z06s were sent out in 2023. Not that many, believe it or not. This car has 670 horsepower.
Not just 670 horsepower, though, Stabile.
670 naturally aspirated horsepower.
It is the highest horsepower output out of a naturally aspirated V8 ever produced.
And that makes it a pretty special Corvette. Corvette's always been on the cutting edge of societal evolution. There's no doubt about that. I mean, look at the size of this little air dam, gulping air.
Differences from the normal C8. If you look at the front, a lot more air vents and scoops and stuff. 3 radiators that I can see from the naked eye in the front, and also some ducts near the middle that I think feed to the brakes for cooling. A lot more cooling, a lot wider in the front and wider in the rear, and that's to accommodate that massive duct on the side that you were just pointing out. There's also a radiator through there, and there's also a duct behind on the bumper, behind the wheel. Do you see? Like a little slit?
Yes, I do.
That's to let air out. Quite a bit of differences between the normal C8. This one without the big wing and the carbon fiber package is a little bit more subtle.
This is perfect the way it is. It's a mid-engine supercar. This is basically, it's a Ferrari killer, and I love it. 8-speed, dual clutch. It's got accelerant yellow. That's what this is.
Yes.
And, oh look.
Matching seatbelts and brake calipers.
Seatbelts. Black interior, competition sport seats. 21-inch wheels
in the back.
20-inch wheels in the front.
Yes.
Yellow brake calipers to match the beautiful yellow paint job. Ooh, suede microfiber-wrapped steering wheel. Can I touch it? That's nice. That's expensive.
Another key difference on the outside from the normal C8 is in the back. The exhaust is a quad exhaust that comes out the middle rather than the quad exhaust that comes out the 2 sides.
Oh yes,
that's another
very
big difference.
Nice. Whew, she is pretty. Oh, I love what you pointed out, and I didn't see this. So in the back mirror, and you'll see this in our beautiful B-roll, there's little bitty Corvette symbols in the glass. I think that's so nice.
It's like a gradient coming down from the tint in the glass, little Corvette symbols.
It's an instant classic.
This one's also a hard top, or a target top, I guess you could call it.
Yes.
Not the full-on electronic convertible.
Nope.
And I actually like that better because the full-on convertible has the engine covered up so you can't even see it. This one, because it's a normal hard top, if you look back here, the engine cover is just glass. Whereas in the convertible, this is all covered up with plastic so you can't see the engine back here. Also, automatic popper on the key for the trunk.
Well look, and it fits so nicely.
It fits perfectly and it snaps in back here so it doesn't even rattle. I took it off earlier and showed me. It's very easy. It's definitely a one-person job.
Oh good.
There's really not a whole lot to it. It's a very lightweight top.
I like that it matches.
And then back here, while we're back here, the beautiful engine, 5.5 liter flat plane crank V8, highest horsepower V8 ever made, the LT6 is what it's called. You can see down there, we've got the red valve covers. You can barely see them, they're kind of deep down there, but you can see them.
They're way down there.
This crazy looking intake that I absolutely love, which is the reason why I want this to be glass so I can actually see it. And we also have it signed by the man who assembled our engine.
How gorgeous.
Over in Corvette. What's his name? Let's see. Brandon Centers. Thank you, Brandon Centers, for making our engine.
I hope you watch our videos there, Brandon.
Yes, I hope he sees this video.
You're clearly a great dude. Man.
Also, soft close trunk. Just give it a slight little push, and it just pulls it soft close. We also have black badges. I forgot exactly the name of them. I think I wrote that down. But these black, kind of pearlescent looking sparkly badges.
Right there.
Oh, yes.
70th.
Corvette 70 years, 53 to 2023, scribed in the back glass. I think that's on all 2023 models.
I believe it is.
And then also up front in the front glass, we have Team Corvette at the bottom of the glass, just in case you forgot who or what brilliant people designed this. And because it's mid-engined, we have some plastics up here because it's a new car, but we have a frunk.
Gotta love a good frunk.
We have a frunk. So you have a trunk, which is actually pretty large. A lot of space in the rear trunk. Again, it has to accommodate that beautiful top, but because it's mid-engine, you also have a frunk, so you have extra storage from a normal Corvette. This one does not have the carbon ceramic brakes. These are steel brakes, but they're very, very massive brakes on this car, and we still have the Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's sticky tires.
Yep.
And also on the wheel, I really like this. We have a little bit of verbiage. It says forged down there at the bottom, and it says Corvette over here as well on the wheel, which I think is really cool.
It's Chevy. They've done it right. Chevy has really done this car correct. I mean, they've always been on the cutting edge, and they are again. And this car is one of the fastest they've made.
Another difference from the normal C8 on the side here, we talked about the side duct a little bit before. On the normal C8, we don't have this extra bit of black trim going toward the back here, and it's also completely a different shape. And yes, the door handle is underneath that little piece of trim, kind of hard to find.
I know you've got that on there, but that's beautiful.
Oh yes, Z06 plates on the door sill, very cool.
So now we're talking about the interior, and there's a lot to talk about. These are the black competition sport seats, buckets of course. This is not a bench seat car. It is really exquisite the way they did it. I mean, the leather, the nice canvas in the leather here, the
got
bolsters.
Really nice stitching. We got a little bit of carbon fiber showing in the middle of the seat too. In the back fiber. And then we have the Corvette logo in the headrest. The white stitching all around the interior looks really cool. I think it really accents, gives it some cool lines going through the inside of the car.
Heads-up display, of course.
Yes, has a heads-up display. The steering wheel, squared on top and bottom. It's got Z06 scribed on the bottom as well. We got some flappy paddles because it's an 8-speed dual clutch automatic. So if you put it in track mode, that's how you shift.
I love track mode.
It's very, 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 very fast shifting.
Yes.
Both of these seats are automatic, of course, because it's a new car.
Has to be.
We have a cool infotainment system that's actually pretty responsive. That screen in the middle with Apple CarPlay, navigation, all of that sort of thing. The button for the home is actually a physical button, as well as the volume, which I actually like. And then the HVAC controls are kind of weird. A lot of people have talked about that. It's just one long line of HVAC controls in the middle, which actually I thought would be a little bit difficult to use, but I found it actually isn't that hard. The passenger side is on the top, I want to say. And the driver's side controls are on the bottom, and then the universal controls are in the middle for the fan speed and stuff like that. So as we all know, Christopher is an extremely hardworking man, and he had to leave us because he's selling cars or something. I don't know. I think he's just slacking off. But I'm going to continue talking about the interior. I think I've spent more time in here than he has anyway. So moving on, I think we just finished talking about the HVAC system, which are these buttons in a long row in the middle of the center console here. Right next to these are two cup holders that are actually pretty deep and pretty large. You have a little storage space here as well with a USB plug-in, a USB-C, and an aux cord, in case you want to listen to music that way. Looking further forward, as you can see, I don't have a shifter or anything here. Nothing to pull, no manual transmission, unfortunately. Thank you, Chevrolet. But anyway, instead we have these buttons down here that you press for park in neutral, and then you pull, reverse, and drive. And then you also have a button for manual mode. To the right of that, you have a physical button for traction control up here because Chevrolet has their priorities straight and they know that you want to go sliding around in your brand new Z06. Right below that, we have this little knob, which you would think is controls for the infotainment system, but is actually just the drive modes. You turn this little knob left or right and you can switch between Tour, Sport, and track mode. And when you switch between these different modes, it changes the stiffness of the springs and the suspension, the weight of the steering, and the sound of the exhaust. So track mode being the loudest, sharpest, hardest ride for better lap times. Also, when you switch to track mode, you have an option to change the gauge cluster. Rather than the normal tachometer, it's a bar that goes across the top. You also have a lap timer on the right-hand side. And on the left-hand side, you have some info about your vehicle that you might want on the track, including tire temperature. Now, it doesn't give you the exact temperature of the tires, it just tells you cold or hot, which is nice to have on a track. You also have a Z button right here on the steering wheel, and when you press it, it lights up. And this is a fully customizable drive mode that you can make as a driver. Say you want really soft, comfortable suspension and steering, but you want a really loud car, you can fully customize that. On the steering wheel as well, you have things like your cruise control. You have a dial on the right-hand side with some buttons. This is how you navigate the gauge cluster, and you have a bunch of different options as far as whether you want to see fuel economy, your track timer, your maintenance schedules, things like that. On the left-hand side of the steering wheel, up on the dash, are your controls for the heads-up display, which is right here. You can move it up and down side to side, and you also have some info that you can scroll through, as well as the brightness. On the door here, you have automatic windows for the driver and passenger side going up and down, as well as electric automatic mirrors. And the button to get out of the door isn't a physical handle like they started doing with the C6. It's just a little electronic button that you press and the door comes open. If the button for some reason stops working or your car battery dies, don't worry, you're not going to get stuck in the car because there's a physical latch down here that is a manual override for the door so that you can still get it open. Below the door popper button are the buttons for the frunk and the trunk here on the door card. Again, a little bit hard to find when the door is closed, but when it's open, they're very visible. Also, when you open the door and you climb into your Corvette, you get a nice little animation on your dash and on the infotainment screen showing the engine and the car driving to kind of remind you what an amazing car that you're in. Now, behind you on the back of the center console is another storage area that's made for maybe a water bottle or something, and it's going to have to be a pretty skinny one because it's not very large. But inside of this storage area is a rubber pad that has the Corvette logo all over it. Again, kind of like the rear glass with the Corvette logo coming down from the tint. There's tiny Corvette logos. Above that is a big speaker right in the middle with a little plaque that says Corvette 1953, 2023 with a big 70 in the middle to denote the 70th anniversary. Well, we've talked about the outside of this car. We've just got done talking about the inside of this car. So I think there's only one thing left to do, and that is to start up this 5.5 liter flat plane crank V8, beautifully designed by Chevrolet, and hear what it sounds like. We can't drive it, unfortunately, because we don't want to put more miles on it, because we want the new owner to have the newest Z06 that they possibly can, but we can start it up and let you hear it.